Hey guys, it's Mark from North of 7 Outdoors. Welcome back to another episode. Today I thought I would share my knowledge on finding back lakes here in Ontario, or at least the central part of Ontario. And yeah, I see a lot of people that are like, how do I find good fishing spots? And I'll tell you guys what I know. I fished 21, maybe and counting, but probably just 21 new lakes this year, which does not count the lakes that I've already fished this year. And that's not bad for bass fishing. So I do know my way around Back Lake, Ontario. So the first thing you're going to want to do is find Toronto on the map. So we're close enough, Toronto somewhere around here. Then you're going to want to click a point that's roughly 200 kilometers away from Toronto. And then you're just going to want to pretend to make a giant circle around that. That's the part of Ontario that you don't want to fish. Most people, I would say everyone to a degree, is lazy. You know, or even just efficient, let's just say, because everyone wants to put the least amount of work for maximum amount of return. Like, that's not rocket science. That's just the way the human species works. So basically, if you live in the GTA, you probably ain't driving past Madoc or Gravenhurst or wherever the heck this part is. I don't know. I don't travel to Toronto. As far as I'm concerned, anything past Brighton is considered the GTA for me. So this is the way I look at it. I'm just going to show you guys an example of what I did. So basically, coming up, I had a bass tournament, Bass Club Classic here at a lake I'd never been to before. And one thing I like to do is take the Friday off, drive up. I like to fish new lakes. So our Classic was actually at Golden Lake. Oh, let's clear off our measurement here. So there we go, and we're actually going to get directions. So let's just say, for the sake of argument here, I live somewhere near Tweed. I live somewhere near the Stokoe Lake area. And it's saying I have a 2-hour or 2-hour 20-minute drive, depending on how I choose to get to that destination. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut that in half. Because anything within an hour, I will drive. I mean, seriously, I live in the Land O'Lakes region. I mean, it's silly how many lakes I have access to within an hour. There is a lake that I've been meaning to fish that's literally 25 minutes from my house, and I have not fished it yet. But it's on the bucket, so hopefully if I fish another 21 new lakes next year, then I'm sure it'll be part of it. So let's say I live in Tweed here. I cut this in half. So let's say Denby. Let's say anything past Denby, I would probably fish in a 1 day and drive there and drive back. Anything after Denby, you know, 2 hours is not the end of the world driving there and back in a day. But for the sake of argument and what I have access to, we'll say that Denby is the cutoff zone. So the first thing I did is look at lakes that are close to the highway. Okay, so there we have Denby Lake. The second thing I do is I grab this little guy right here. Anything that's blue, you can drop your little guy down. Let's see here. Alright, so I actually dropped him down the boat ramp. I already know that because I fished Denby Lake this year. There'll be a video coming out soon enough. So I can see it from the highway. I can see access in there. What type of vehicle do you have? What type of boat do you have? These are things you need to consider when you're fishing a new lake. Number one, do you have four-wheel drive, basically? Do you have good clearance on your vehicle? If you have a little, like, all-wheel drive compact SUV, I mean, you might take the front bumper off. This lake, or this boat launch looks pretty good. I mean, it's got some angled-off parking. But overall, it's small, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I don't think I would run into an issue here. So it's worth going there. And I went there. The other thing to look at is boat launch. Sorry, my internet, obviously I live in the middle of nowhere myself, so the internet is not great. The other thing to look for is a boat launch sign. Example is when I was fishing Denby Lake this year, I drove by a lake I'd never even heard of. That had only because it had a boat launch sign. So now that's on the list to fish. Now while I'm on here, and get out of viewpoint here, what I like to do is I like to change it over to layers sometimes if I'm looking for parking, but a lot of times I like to grab a measurement here. So let's say I'm on my way to somewhere. I don't want to spend all day on Denby Lake. I mean, maybe I could fish the whole thing in like 6 hours, but I only have 2 hours. So I want to measure distance roughly. Let's say that's a boat launch, even though it's over here. Alright, so I know on half-speed trolling motor, that's 2.5 kilometers, so that's probably an hour and a half that I could fish this somewhat thoroughly, but somewhat, efficiently, and that's half of Denby Lake. If I can fish half of Denby Lake in an hour and a half, I have an understanding of what the lake will offer, and if I decide to go back to Denby Lake, then I can make that decision based on that. Alright, so let's continue. I don't want to take the most direct route to Golden Lake here. I want to take the route where I can stop and explore Back Lake, Ontario. And I must have saved some flags here because I see some stops here. So the next one I went to. Alright. So this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm looking at here. Alright. Big Yerke Lake. Alright. So I can drop my little guy down. I see some kind of thing here. Alright, so it looks like there's a little boat launch here. I don't see the boat launch. I don't see the boat launch. I see the boat launch. Well, actually, it turns out when I got here, this wasn't a boat launch. You could launch a kayak and throw off a little 14 or 12-foot aluminum. But that's the only way you're getting into Big Yerke unless there's some private launch out here. And that's the reason why I don't pick lakes that are way off the major highway when I'm going exploring, because A, getting lost sucks. Getting lost on a small dirt road or a small part of the province with a 20-foot boat trailer is a nightmare. Alright, so Big Yerke was a bust. Maybe I'll shore fish it one day. Alright, so from there, we're trying to make our way to Golden Lake here. I see a Lake Hardwood, but as a inspection here on the layers, I don't actually physically see anything. I see like a beach volleyball court. I see a Camp Walden. I see swim docks. Like, I don't know if this is one giant summer camp. I have no idea. So I bypassed that because oh, I guess it's not listed. Alright, I thought it was. I've been here. So then I see Genrix Lake here, okay? I think that's a boat launch. Four Season Park all the way here. It looks like a giant turnaround. So I'm going to drop my little guy here. Right at this corner. Highway 28. Alright, I'm going this way. I see a boat launch sign, so that tells me that that is a boat launch that I see there. But the only indication that I was pretty certain it was a boat launch. I'm also making sure that there's no houses around here that's like, hey, this is a private boat launch, you don't want to trespass. So an example is, I didn't stop at this lake, maybe I will one day. This Raglan White Lake, okay, so it doesn't say anything when I drop off here. 99% certain, actually probably 100 because I did confirm that with someone that fished there. But there's no sign here that says boat launch. There's a sign over here, but it's just the road name. However, a good indication that this is a boat launch is most boat launches are called, or most roads that have the boat launch are actually called the lake name. So Raglan White Lake Road. And I've never really seen this parking sign, but you know what? I saw enough. I said, look, I can comfortably drive my truck and trailer down here, drive around here. If I get in a bad spot, it looks like I can probably turn around here and get out if it's not what I thought it was. So that's the other thing to think of is how are you going to get around or out if something goes haywire. Let's see. So next I went over here. And again, I'm just looking at little lakes here like Palmer Road. So this is Cameron Lake. The boat launch is either going to be down over here or it's going to be off of here somewhere. But I'm just going to drop my guy down here. Alright, so another thing to remember if you're going to explore part of Ontario is 911 signs. So they're usually blue or green. If you go down a road and it has a 911 sign on there, unless it has like 10 of them, saying that there's like 10 houses down that road, it just has one 911 sign, then chances are it could still be a boat launch, but chances are it's someone's driveway or laneway, because even my cabin, for example, has a 911 number, but my cabin is still 500 meters down that laneway, so you would never be like, oh, this is a road. It's like, no, it's not really a road, it's it's my driveway. So I don't really see, I'm going to scroll in here, but I don't really see like a launch that's hitting the water. I mean, there are docks in here. There must be a launch, you would think. But, I mean, they could have private launches here. You know, some guy might have just built a launch or has a, you know, a launch on his property and maybe charges the 4 or 5 or 10 other people that live on this lake, you know, $20 to take your boat in and out for the year. Let's see, so next I hit up Letterkenny, more than just a TV show apparently. Apparently it's a real place. The things you find out in the middle of nowhere, Ontario. Alright, so Lake Hardwood. Okay, so I did not stop at Lake Hardwood. I could not find a boat launch. I did try to stop at Lake Charlotte. Okay. So again, we're lucky that this guy is operational because usually the hanging guy never works in any part of the province I want to go to. Alright. So I actually drove by this lake, and that's very clearly to me that's a boat launch. So I think to myself, okay, now that I found a boat launch, where am I gonna park? Maybe here. You know, again, you can't really, you have to have ramp etiquette as well. Maybe I could put my boat and truck in here. I'd have to take a look at it. But it's a steep corner, so you're not going to want to park over here. I mean, let's try not to, you know, kill yourself or other people while you're out here. So this is a boat launch for Charlotte Lake. Now, I actually drove by this lake, and it turns out that this is actually like 5 or 10 feet down that road. So it's very, very steep. I thought that over here was kind of like a semicircle that you get back on the road. I'm like, well, dang, I'm doing it on a Friday early afternoon, Friday lunch hour, like no one's going to be around here. I could just park right here, or swing around here. You know, always, look, I've fished everywhere in Ontario. I've only had one person ever leave me a note calling me an asshole, and I don't know what he was doing. I'm going to say he's incompetent because I'm not the best truck and trailer driver. I'm okay, you know, I've been everywhere, but I always say, look, if I'm parking here, can someone else use the launch? And if the answer is no, someone else can't use the launch, then I am an asshole and I should not park there. So when I got that note in my truck, I was just like, are you kidding me here? Like, you should not be driving a truck and trailer, like, if you couldn't get at that launch. That's a fun fact. That was Scootamata Lake there in the Land of Lakes. So I have no idea what that guy's problem was. But anyways, yeah, so always be respectful. Have etiquette when you're exploring back lakes here. And, you know, same thing. Fun fact here, guys. When I explore lakes, a lot of times, especially like when I first get there for the first couple hours, just run the trolling motor for a couple hours till it's like 9 o'clock and dogs are barking and stuff like that. Because I try to be respectful. I don't want, you know, for all I know, maybe this is a private property sign here. And someone's just like, yeah, whatever, I want people to fish this lake, and maybe because you were a jerk or something, like, running around the lake at, 6 o'clock in the morning, the guy's like, yeah, I've had enough of that. Alright, then from Charlotte, where'd we go? There's Jeffreys Lake there. But, again, like, there's so many lakes in Ontario that you're never gonna... You might be able to, like, carry a canoe to, maybe. Or they're just private. Gorman Lake. So Gorman Lake was the next one I went to. So I see a Gorman Lake beach. Where there's a beach in back part of Ontario, usually there is a boat launch. Not always, but hell, sometimes you can launch your boat at a boat launch. So right there, that's clear as day to me. That is a boat launch. Some guy's working away. But yeah, it doesn't look like a great ramp, but it looks like, hey, I can launch a boat there. Looks like there's some parking over here. And actually, when I went there, there was it was all nicely done and paved. It was pretty nice. But that's the other thing to consider is, again, like, can your truck physically move your boat? Like, if I had a 21-foot boat, which I guess I do, but I don't take it back lake exploring, I can't get that 21-foot fiberglass boat out of a lot of places. For example, I fished a new lake 3 days ago, and I had to physically get out, hop in the water, and push my little 16, 70-foot aluminum Ranger off the trailer to even launch there. So just stuff like that. If I was 50, I probably wouldn't be jumping in the water and he-manning out a Ranger boat there. Let's see. I don't know, lake number 5, Cuddy's Lake. No. So from there, I actually went up and made it to the Bon Cher Lodge Resort, which actually was like, I've stayed at a lot of resorts doing these fishing tournaments, and that was one of the nicer ones I stayed at. So congratulations for that. And yeah, so I spent a few extra minutes. I think the total track time was maybe an extra 10 minutes to go through all those lakes. But again, I don't think I'm ever going to go to these lakes again. So that's my opportunity to go to them. And that's physically how I find them. I look for keys, I look for boat ramps, I look for a clearing to, hey, if this isn't a ramp, at least I can turn my truck and trailer around. But I'm going to give you guys one more tool here, one more resource for your book, is actually the Frontenac website here. So Frontenac is, north of Kingston. So we're going to go to categories, and we're going to hit bow launches. So I've used this. This has helped me out a lot. So it breaks it up to kind of like municipalities like Arden, Arctic, Battersea, Cloyne, Godfrey, Harlow, Harrowsmith, Plevna, Parham, Perth Road, Sydenham. Let's see. I want to give an example here. Let's say Cashel-Wacamac, and I'm going to actually just type in that, and we're going to go to here, and we're going to just copy and paste that. Alright. So I've never used this launch on Cache Whack-A-Mac. I only fished it once, but I think the launch was down here, the one I used. So while I'm here, I'm just going to physically take a look. So it looks like it's pretty standard. I think Road 506 is the one that takes you to Plevna. Browns Bay Road, Browns Bay Lane, bow launch. And a lot of times, people leave pictures, but I want to tell people not always trust the pictures there. I went to a launch, and whatever picture they took for that launch was not that launch. And I was like, this is nothing what it's supposed to look like. Like, this is stupid. There's a giant school bus in there. I didn't see that coming, but I just click on the pictures. There's one picture with, looks like maybe a summer camp or something, but clear enough. It looks like a launch. Doesn't look very big. One picture, but hell, it looks like a launch. There you go. Looks like people leave their trailers here, maybe. So parking might be problematic. Let's see. Nope. It's not going to let me drop my little guy down here. And a lot of times with these dirt roads, you just kind of... You can't really see the road other than its label. But it looks like there's some kind of boat ramp here. And it looks like there's some kind of launch area there. But there's tons of sites like, you know, the Frontenac boat launches. Like there's one for Bancroft, Marmora, all over. Anyways, guys, that's basically how I figure out how I'm going to find these back lakes here. Because, you know, to me, that's half the adventure, is to be like, yeah, you know, I've fished everywhere, so that's a good lake, that's not a good lake, and stuff like that. So that's how I find back lakes in Ontario. I hope you guys enjoy this. Again, there's tons of municipality, let's say, or like area sites like this, like Everything Frontenac's a good one. There are a few more. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching, and take care.